Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. The show is designed to give you solutions to your day-to-day management and leadership problems. It's hosted by Matthew Haddock, a frontline manager and leader with over 25 years of experience. If you're ready, then let's get on with the show.
Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. This week's show is around emotional reactions at work. How do you handle them as a leader? How do you deal with them as a manager? And how do you deal with them as a person? Without any more delay, let's get on with this week's show. Welcome to the Manager Matt podcast show. So happy you can be listening wherever you are in the world. And I'm hoping you're getting the results through the people and you're getting the projects delivered and you're doing what you need to do day in, day out to do what you need to do. And I'm hoping that this show will help you get there. This week's show, I'm going to talk about emotions at work, how emotion reactions affect you as a leader, what can you do about those reactions, what can you push forward to make sure you can deliver results with your team in the best way. Now, let's start as we mean to go on. Emotions are normal. Emotions are part of us as humans, and every single human has an emotion reaction to things. It can be all the positive ones you know about, all this happiness, cheerfulness, getting involved. And of course, on the other side of that, there is other emotions that we carry whilst at work. And those are things such as anger, fear, sadness, rejection, frustration. Now, we'd be foolish as leaders if we just thought that all our emotional management was about the good stuff. It'd be great if you always walked into every single work and every single meeting with everyone being positively engaged, happy to take the news, driving forward the business with a big smile on their face, running in the morning, working late at night. But of course, that's not how it really is. Every person we deal with, every interaction we have, not only with our directs, but with our peers and with our bosses, will have an element of emotion in them. And some of those negative emotions are hard for us to manage as leaders. I think really at the centre of it is humans will bring the positive and the negative actions to work. And we need to make sure that we are connecting on a level that allows us to deal with those emotions in the most positive way we can. There's no point in hiding from them. There's no point in putting your head in the sands, if you like, and thinking, oh, it's just emotions. I'm going to work with data. And that can be really difficult. If you've done any of the personal profiling which has been rife in our work world for many, many years, you'll all know the idea of having people with either colours or names or numbers or all those different ones from your DISC to your Myers-Briggs to your Insight. And they'll talk about people having different designs. So you'll say people are red. People can be quite wanting to get things done, very pushy. They can be yellow, quite happy and bouncy. You have this idea of people who are very much green and thinking about the people, and blue, if you like, who are very data-driven. And that's all well and good. And it sounds like a great model. Well, why not have that kind of idea? And wouldn't life be so simple if everyone just simply followed that model? Well, of course, it isn't like that. That's not how it works. That's not how it works in real world. You might be a very, very focused, very driven number data person who is, I don't know, say a data analyst, say a financial person, an accountant, a technical person who loves the data. But at the end, you're still human. Maybe just about in some of those cases, but they are definitely human. So what they bring to work and what happens outside the walls, and I say this to my teams all the time, inside the work, there is so much stuff goes on. There is also loads of pressures, loads of stress. But outside of work, that can be magnified by 10, 15, 20%. And people will bring some of that residue emotion into work. So it's okay having a driven, blue, logical person who loves data. But as I say, they've gone home, had a big row with the partner, the wife's not well, the mother and father have been poorly, the dog's got sick, or there's something that's really tragically happened. That emotion is going to come in. They also might be just the way they are. People can have an emotional set of values, an emotional set that they naturally gravitate to. And they might not look like the bouncy, happy, shiny person. that you want at work. There may be someone who are constantly frustrated, or constantly have a downer on, and that's life. Some of the other casts have talked about the fact you're going to get drains and radiators, and emotions are part of that. The thing for you as a leader is, how do you deal with that? Well, first thing, if you've got an issue at work that's around people, make sure you do your basics right. Make sure you follow the basics of any good manager and leader, because although it deals with lots of things, it also deals with emotions. So think of things such as the one-to-one. That's such a real heavy part of what you should be doing. Know your teams. You can manage if you know the team through a one-to-one. You know what their baseline emotions are. I know in some of my teams in the past that if I've had a good set of one-to-ones, we have a good working relationship, we understand what's happening outside the box, if you like, outside the work, then if they do something completely off their norm, because you know them well, you know there's something there, you can react. If you've got someone who's so positive, always on beat, and all of a sudden he's offhand, he's snappy, nasty, you think, right, something's gone wrong here. I wonder how X or Y is doing outside of work. And because you've got your good one-to-one structure, you can react, you can make sure that you go around that person and say, well, come on, what's going on? This isn't your normal self. And also in the one-to-one, you can realise some people are grumpy buggers. That's just the way they are. Then fine, they're delivering a job. As long as that way and them emotions don't affect the working day or the working relationship, then you're okay to have that. That's not a problem. And of course, on top of one-to-ones are the other things. Feedback, giving people direct feedback, giving them direction, making sure they understand. Their emotions could be linked directly to the fact that they don't know what's happening. They could be unsure. You've not set direction for them. You've not given them a vision or a mission. You've not given projects they're fulfilling. They're underutilised. You find this idle hands are the devil's workshop, they reckon, don't they, in the old sort of sayings. And is that because people become grumpy and disillusioned with work, and their emotions come more because they've got nothing to do? So are you motivating them? Have you given them a good plan? Do they have projects or jobs to get on with that's going to fill the days and make sure that they enjoy what they're doing? Or are they very much mundanely bored, and that's why you're seeing these emotional outbursts? Obviously, we're not talking about chronic issues. Some people can be extremely emotional if there's something out there that's really, really affecting them in that instance. As we said earlier, if you've got some relative who's really poorly or has gone through a bereavement, there is naturally going to be an emotion of sadness in there. And you need to deal with that and be respectful of that. We're talking about things inside the work, that reactions and how you handle them. A lot of times, as I said earlier, people would ignore them. Emotions are our thing. That's just an issue. We're not going to deal with them. You can't do that. You must face into them. So what action should you take as a leader? Well, firstly, be aware emotions are normal. It is perfectly normal for you, your directs, your peers and your boss to have emotions. If they don't, there's something wrong. But of course, be active in understanding it. So the second point, as well as knowing the emotions, is to be active in understanding your team's baselines, and that's with one-to-ones. Then, of course, make sure using tools to understand your team's inside and outside of work, which is part of your one-to-ones. And then, if you see or have an emotion that is outside the norm, you need to understand how you're going to deal with it. Of course, there's always a spectrum of dealing with these things, and there's a spectrum of emotions. If someone is, a little bit off it, frustrated, what's caused that? Have they just been turned down for a promotion? Well, you can understand why that person's going to be slightly disengaged. You need to firstly, in that instance of negative emotion, give them some time to process, give them some time to understand what they're going to do. And then, if that doesn't improve and there's no natural change, it's using your tools of one-to-ones to speak to that individual around how they are feeling. What can you do? Is there a case where that person might need a break? Are they emotionally burnt out? I've talked about burnout in this cast before. So you've got to understand the triggers to go more into a formal, should we allow this person not to be here if their emotions are becoming so much? If a person's coming to work and they're in tears constantly, and they can't get the work done because of what's going on outside, then it's probably a good idea to allow that person to be away from the work for a while, keeping in touch, doing the right things through an HR process to make sure that they are looked after. But if you are dealing with standard emotions that go on in work that are becoming a problem, remember, emotions, even too good emotions can be a problem. If you've got someone who's far too over enthusiastic and happy and just takes everything on and then fails to deliver, those emotions might be seen as positive, but they soon can be negative to your ultimate aim of delivering results as a leader. So you've got to be aware of the fact that emotions can work both ways. But if you think of your negative emotions, if you're getting anger and sadness, is it done in a way that you can control, face into it, talk to the person about it, not in the middle of everything? I remember a very emotional person and I lost my temper with them, and I shouldn't have done, in a meeting in front of people. We had to take it outside the meeting. Just it caused noise because I didn't handle it correctly. What I should have done is wait till the end of the meeting and took the person at one side and just said, look, are you okay? This doesn't sound like yourself. And when we got to the bottom of it, there was issues away from work that were causing that. But I went into almost a kind of a step up of it inside that meeting, and you've got to be aware of yourself. And of course, I've spoken a lot about emotions outside being impacted into you from your directs, your emotions. So be aware of your own emotions. If you are emotionally dead at work and just think, I am turning off, I have an outside life and an inside work life, well, fine, okay, but you're a human. You will have emotions. You will get annoyed when somebody doesn't do something right. It's how you handle that, how you react to that, how you step back from it. One of the things that hit me home, I don't know where I picked it up, is that humans are one of the only sort of animals that have time to reflect and count to 10. And that's always a great example, isn't it? When you're going to get angry, you're going to get mad, you're using negative emotions, count to 10. Take a step back. And that's really just a tool that you should be using as a professional. If you're in a situation where you feel as a manager you're getting angry, you get into a point where you might raise your voice, you might become sad, you may become emotional, then it's a good time to step away from that conversation. Have a break, put a pause on. And of course, if you're doing this with a direct or if it's in a group situation, you have the power in your position to go, I'm not going to speak about that just at this moment. I think we all need to take a step back and just take it down a level. Very happy when there's less emotion from myself as well as others in the room to readdress this. But currently, we're just going to put that down. I'm going to pause that conversation. I'm happy to return, but I think it's not doing us any good with the level of emotions that are related to it. It's very straightforward. It's very professional. It shows you've got control. It shows you're not ignoring it. It just says, this is what we're going to do. We're going to have a little bit of a stop now. We're going to wait, and we'll come back round there. So, to get to the end of this week's show, there is going to be emotions at work. That is normal. You do need to understand the baseline of your team using one-to-ones. And then you need to use tools to deal with them, either subtly through conversations and offline conversations, and then more formally, either to help that person through counselling and coaching or time off, and through formally if their emotions become too much and they cross the line into offend. Because we do have to be aware that emotions can be portrayed onto others, which can cause them to have emotions. And the whole aim of managing emotions, as all managers and leaders should be doing, is to get your team to deliver the goals that they're there to do. And I'd love you to deliver a goal this week and send me some feedback. You can get me at managermattpodcast@gmail.com. Love to engage new and old topics. I'd love to hear your emotions about this show, either good, bad, or indifferent. Well, that's it for Manager Matt this week. Thanks for listening, and goodbye.
Thank you so much for listening to this Manager Matt podcast. We hope you found it interesting, helpful, and actionable. One last thing, please leave a quick review on iTunes or with your podcast provider, as it helps to spread the word of Manager Matt. If you haven't already done so, please subscribe to the podcast, and if you did like anything in particular, send an email to managermattpodcast@gmail.com or visit managermatt.co.uk for more content. Feedback is a gift, so let's keep giving. See you next week.